Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Welcome to another episode of Grand Football Weekly. Yes, it's been another week of wonderful, wonderful football. And remember, the Champions League and all the European competitions are back. Are you excited? Yeah, in grand football, it is yours truly again, Mr. Chiggs, as we talk about the games from game week 5, where we had some interesting results. And we will go straight into it because I want to also look at the games coming up at the weekend. And then we will talk the Champions League in our next episode. Okay, let's go. Wolverhampton versus Liverpool. That was what kicked off the weekend, and it was a beautiful game. It was a nice, interesting game. It started off with Wolverhampton playing very, very well, especially in the first half. Neto was a handful for the defenders, left and right, making some serious intentional runs into the box. And he was, very, very instrumental to their goal, which Huang Chang put in. And that was the start of, should I say, the end, because that was it. First half finished. Wolverhampton winning 1-0, and you thought, oh, Wolves might be up to something here. But Liverpool were able to gather themselves together, make some decent changes, and they were back in the game not long after. Cody Gakpo scoring the equalizer. And then it was, downhill for Wolves from there. Downhill. Went ahead, getting a goal from Robertson, who scored the second one, a nice pass from Salah again. And then the third, which was obviously classed as an own goal by Ait Nouri, but it was Harvey Elliott who had the strike. Another, well, should we say assist from Salah? Because I don't know if he was given that assist. But yeah, 3-1 winners at the end. 3-1 winners, so they keep going, they keep moving. Liverpool keep winning. They're moving, they're going about their business quietly, you would say, Liverpool. They're doing well and going about it quietly. And I see them having a good season if they can work on their defense and maybe more solid in midfield, because their midfield, they're good in some aspects, but sometimes they can be missing in game, because for that first half, Wolves were bossing them and getting past them too easily. But we see they picked up in the second half, especially with the changes they made, and got themselves back in the game. So good result for Liverpool. Good result for Liverpool. And then we move on to the next game, which was Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. That game was also an interesting one because, you could say that the game had all you could expect from a game. It had everything that you would want in the game. And they did the best they could by giving us a wonderful, wonderful entertainment. And it was 1-1 for a long time in that game, remember, guys. And all of a sudden, because I wasn't watching the game live, and all of a sudden I looked at my, video printer thing that I was looking at, and I saw 3-1, and I was like, is that right? And when I looked before, it was only 1-1, and all of a sudden it was 3-1. So Villa scoring 2 late goals in the game. What would you say, guys? Would you say the extra minutes they're giving in games now are helping us see more goals, especially the end of games when everyone's tired, everyone, their legs are very heavy. We're getting more goals in those minutes. Yeah, so Villa scored 2 late goals to win the game and take themselves give themselves 3 points from that game. So beautiful, beautiful result for Unai Emery and his team. And they've had a up and down season, but I'm sure they'll be happy with that result. Then we have the Fulham versus Luton game. That was the game, guys, I was expecting Fulham to, no disrespect to Luton, they're the new boys. I expected Fulham to annihilate them, but Luton held their own. They played their part. They gave a good account of themselves, showing us that they're not just here to make up the numbers. They're not just here to be the whooping boys. No, we are here to play football. And they did that for good spells of the game. But they were eventually undone by a good goal. Well, not so great, but a goal's a goal, guys. A goal's a goal, and 3 points is 3 points. It doesn't matter how it comes. So Fulham were able to get that. And would you say, guys, that Fulham is missing the likes of Mitrovic, who was their, focal point before he left? He was the one getting the goals, especially from the championship before they came up last season, and he was able to score at least more than 10 goals in the league. So that's one player they will miss a lot this season. I know they bought in the market, they got Raúl Jiménez, but don't forget, after his injury, he hasn't been the same. I mean, he's still a top player, but not in terms of scoring goals. He's not, I feel he would still come good, Raúl Jiménez, but for now, he's still not in that place, so don't know how long Fulham can go on without a focal point player and getting goals in their game. But they got the 3 points in that game, and I'm sure doesn't matter how it's come, they will be happy with that one. They will be happy with that one. Then the big one, our actual star game of the week. Because in our group we do a star game, and this was the star game of the week. It was Man United versus Brighton. And shout out to Yema, who's part of our team, who's the only one who predicted the correct score from that game. Brighton beating Man United 3-1. Very interesting game. Man United fans, what's going on, man? What's going on? You guys are falling, drastically. 13th on the table at the moment. I know you would say it's only early days, it's only 5 games into the season. Come on, but don't forget, as you're losing and dropping points, those at the top will probably be harder to catch. The likes of Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool, who are your normal contenders, who are your rivals. It'll be hard for you to catch up with them, guys. So yeah, Man United at home, losing to Brighton. Brighton were electric, man. They were electric in that game, doing all that you would expect from a Brighton team, very attacking, attack-minded, going forward, not, losing possession, and making sure that they were well organized in every area. And they did that very well in the game. Came up with the goal, a former employee of Man United, Danny Welbeck, getting himself on the score sheet. Lamptey with 2 assists in the game as well. And Pascal Gross, he loves scoring against Man United. And he got himself another goal against Man United. And João Pedro with a beautiful, beautiful strike at the end to make it 3 before Hannibal Medbury got one for Man United, but it was too late in the game. So it begs the question now, how far can Man United go this season? What do you think, guys? Because I think it will probably be a very, very hard season for Man United, where they probably will pick up, but it will probably be too late to catch anyone. Maybe fighting for 4th place or something like that might be the best they can hope for based on their form now. And hopefully, if they pick up, don't forget, other teams would be in good form as well. So it'd be hard to see where they finish. And then we move on to the next game so we don't spend all our time talking about Man United. Tottenham versus Sheffield United. This was another funny game, because for better spells of the game, obviously not watching the game live, I'd seen the result and I was thinking, ooh, Sheffield are going to nick a win here. And it'll be a proper upset on the cards for everyone. Anyone who's predicted Tottenham to win. Because in our group, everyone went for a Tottenham win. As I'm looking at the predictions, everyone was going 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, 4-1, 5-0. Yes, as big as 5-0. And that was, not the case. And a shout out to Dr. Nyema again. He got the right result. He went for 2-1 to Tottenham. But, Tottenham only managed to get that result by picking up the pace towards the end. And again, added minutes, because they scored 2 late goals. Normally, that probably wouldn't have happened if it was like last season or the season before. They probably would have lost the game, or better still, had a draw. But they came up with a win at the end, and good goals from Richarlison. It's good he's got his goal early on in the season now instead of, how it was last season. And then Kulusevski as well, getting a goal as well to nick the win for Tottenham. Postecoglou will be a happy man because his team are playing really, really well. Playing really, really well. And a big test is coming next week, which we'll talk about soon. Yeah. Well, not next week, sorry. This weekend, which we'll talk about soon. Yeah. West Ham versus Man City. Before the game, I thought this was the game where Man City might drop points. The way West Ham have been playing, they're well organized, especially defensively and all that. So I thought, And when the game started, West Ham went in front and Haaland was missing all these chances, and you're thinking it might not be Man City's day today, They might just have all these chances and end up with either a draw or losing the game. But I forgot who I was talking about. The champions, The champions. They always find a way. They always find a way. And that they did in the game. They found a way and they were able to come back through who was the goal scorer again? I'm sure it was Alvarez. Was it Alvarez or oh no, it was Doku. Yes, Doku with the equalizer. And then Bernardo Silva and Haaland with the other goals. Alvarez just had assists in the game. But it was a good game, very good game for the likes of Doku, especially in that wing. He was just too electric, man, for the defender. And as soon as the second half started, boom, he scored the equalizer really fast, and that gave them the momentum to try and go ahead and win the game, which they actually went ahead and did really quick. Yeah. So Man City still at the top, 5 games, 5 wins. So it's going to be difficult trying to catch them this season the way they're going on. But I feel that the way they've started the season is not normally the way they do. So you never know. You never know. The legs might wear off after a long season from last coming into the season. And don't forget, that's always my consolation. I know they've got the World Club competition coming up, I think in December, which I think might slow them a bit because they might be behind others when it comes to games played, and they might be playing catch up depending on how the teams in form are doing. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Everton, Arsenal, big game, big game. Arsenal managed to get that result against Everton. winning 1-0 with a Trossard goal. Beautiful goal by Trossard. Arsenal had to dig deep. Everton were resilient with making sure they were winning balls, they were blocking balls and all that. But Arsenal found a way. You know, they were going high, and obviously the defenders, like Trossard was trying to explain, the defenders are tall, so they were picking up all the balls. So they decided to go low, and go low ended up being the way in. And they ended up getting that goal, which secured the win. Well done to Arsenal and well done to the team. Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Chelsea, you know, Chelsea, Chelsea. Oh, Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea. Chelsea playing a 0-0 draw with Bournemouth. Not good. I don't care. You know, no disrespect to Bournemouth, but these are the kind of games, you know, the likes of Chelsea, especially with all the, you know, the firepower that they have in their team. I know some would argue, who's actually the fire? Who are you talking about? Palmer? Of course he is the firepower. Mudryk? Yes, he is. He should be the firepower. Sterling? Yes, he should be the firepower. You know, Enzo? Yes, he should be the engine in midfield, making things happen. But they couldn't, you know, find a way to get that goal and win the game. So unlucky for them. The game ended. We won't take nothing away from Bournemouth. They played their part. They made sure they made things difficult for Chelsea, and maybe should have got the win themselves, but it wasn't to be. So I'm sure they'll be happy with a 0-0 draw instead of a loss. The the persons that won't be happy with that result is definitely Chelsea, because I'm sure before the game they would have thought they would be able to go to Bournemouth and, you know, win, but it didn't happen. So it's been a mixed season for them so far. I think they've only had one win so far, the game against Luton, which, you know, at home, which you expect they should win. So it's be interesting to see what happens. Newcastle versus Brentford. That was another interesting game, which Newcastle won by, I would say, a bit of a controversial penalty, you know, but they played well. They did well, but maybe that penalty shouldn't have stood. But that was what helped them get the win in the game. So well done to them. And the last game, Nottingham Forest versus Burnley. Nottingham Forest versus Burnley. That game finished 1-1. Both teams, you know, sharing the spoils. I'm sure the Burnley faithfuls will be happier taking a result away from Forest, especially getting a red card in that game, which was probably, you know, undeserved. Well, the player deserved it, but you know, from their gameplay, they probably didn't deserve to, you know, have lost that game. So they would be happy that they didn't end up losing the game. It didn't cost them. And they finished the game, you know, as a draw, sharing the spoils. So well done to Burnley. Well done to Burnley. So we'll have a quick look at the table after that result, and Man City sits at the top, you know, as we know, 5 games, 5 wins. Tottenham are second with 4 wins and a draw. Liverpool joined second with 4 wins and a draw. Arsenal, 4 wins and a draw. Brighton have a loss in fifth. And no, yeah, Brighton have a loss in fifth, so they have 4 wins and a loss. West Ham in sixth, 3 wins, a loss and a draw. Aston Villa in seventh, 3 wins and 2 losses. Forest in eighth, 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. Crystal Palace in ninth, 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Fulham in 10th, 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. And Brentford are in 11th with 1 win, 3 draws, and 1 loss. Newcastle sit in 12th with 2 wins and 3 losses. Man United in 13th with 2 wins and 3 losses. Chelsea in 14th with 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. And this is where, okay, there's one more team. Bournemouth have, well, they sit in 15th and they have 3 draws and 2 losses. Wolves sit in 16th with 4 losses and 1 win. Sheffield in 17th with 4 losses and 1 draw. Everton in 18th with 4 losses and 1 draw. Then the other 2 teams, Burnley and Luton, they are the teams that have played a game less, and Burnley have 3 losses and 1 draw in 19th place, and Luton have all 4 losses. It's been a hard welcome to the Premier League for Luton, but I'm sure they would start getting points on the table soon because they're starting to play some good football. Just need to find their feet and get those results in. Yeah, so like we normally do on the show, we normally have our predictions amongst the guys who are part of the show. And the way it works, I'll quickly explain before I show you the table. After game week 5, if you get the correct score from the 10 games for the Premier League, you get 5 points. But if it's the star game, which we have just included, you get 10 points. Yes, so our star game was Man United Brighton, which, like I said, Dr. Nyema got the 10 points, and you would see from the table how he has moved up the table because of those points. So you get 5 points for correct score. You get 3 points for correct outcome. You get 1 point if you pick a team and, well, if you pick a team and maybe they lost, but you predicted their right score. I'll give you an example. Say you predict Man United to win 2-1 and they lose 3-2. Because you said Man United would score 2 goals in the game, you get 1 point. We do that so that you don't end up getting zeros if you don't get the correct outcome. So that was just an extra thing we added so that you get points for something. Yeah. And if you don't get any of that, 0. You get 0. Yeah. So that's the way the predictions work. And there are 13 of us on the predictions table. And Eddie Great is at the top. So I'll run through the table quickly as we are talking about the table. After 5 games, Eddie Great has 121 points. So he's at the top. And Dr. Nyema in second place with 116 points. Osita in third with 112 points. Finn in fourth with 111. Dion in fifth with 110. Okay in sixth. Okay used to be at the top, remember, guys. Now see where he is, So even Eddie Great, people should not worry. We will catch up with you, Okay is in sixth with 109. This is just me showing a bit of hate there. Jimmy D in seventh with 106. Kiki with 105, sharing the 8th position with Tammy Zach, who's also 105. Mr. Fab is 104. Ramsdale is 103. King T is 99. And Mr. Chiggs with 92. Don't worry, guys. Don't go nowhere. I'll catch up with them. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry about me. I will catch up with them. We've got a long season. So I'm not worried where I am now. I mean, I'll start getting worried if I'm here after game week 30, then I'll start getting worried. We've also got points for the top 4 and the bottom 3. Don't worry, you will know about those points when it gets closer to the end of the season, when we're fighting for who's going to win the predictions this season. Yeah, so that's the table. So now let's quickly look at game week 6. Game week 6. And we have interesting games. Before I go into the games, I'll tell you the star game of the week. And it is Arsenal versus Tottenham. Couldn't have picked a better game for star game. It'd be hard to predict the actual score of that game. That's the truth. Because both teams are doing well. So it's not like one team has been in the dumps and they're saying, and the other team's doing really well. No, both teams are doing really well, and it'll be hard to pick a winner for that game, in as much as you would go with the home team Arsenal because they're at home. But it'll be a difficult game. And I'm sure. Let us know what you think about that game, what you think the score would be in the Arsenal v Tottenham game. Let us know, and we would, see how it goes at the end of the game. So yeah, Crystal Palace play Fulham. Luton play Wolverhampton. Man City play Nottingham Forest. Brentford play Everton. Burnley play Man United. Then Arsenal play Tottenham. Brighton play Bournemouth. Chelsea play Aston Villa. Liverpool play West Ham. And Sheffield United play Newcastle. Obviously, the guys in Europe are playing on Sunday, as you can tell. The likes of Arsenal, Brighton, Aston Villa, West Ham, and Newcastle. All of them, and Liverpool, they play on Sunday. So, what's your standout game for the weekend, guys? My standout game, obviously, is, as you know, Arsenal v Tottenham. Be an interesting game. It's a Sunday 2:00 kickoff. Very, very interesting game. And I'm hoping the Arsenal we know or are seeing this season turn up for that game so we can, have a good laugh at our rivals. But there's some other interesting games in the matchup. Burnley, Man United. It might look easy, but the way Man United are going now, and Burnley might look at that and think, oh, this might be the best time to play Man United, and get some points off them. So that might be a game where we might have some surprises in. Burnley might nick a win, or Man United might come like wounded lions and annihilate Burnley, at home. But I don't see that happening. Brentford, Everton. Brentford have been playing well. But Everton, they need to get themselves off the bottom of the table. So they will probably come up with a huge fight in that game. There are a few of us who have sent our predictions in. I've gone for a 2-0 to Brentford. Osita's gone for 2-1, and Ramsdale's gone for 1-0. So we'll see how that one pans out. All for Brentford to win. So we'll see how that one pans out. The same goes for the Man City Nottingham Forest game. Everyone so far has gone for a Man City. I mean, you can't look past a Man City win. So that's what everyone has gone for. Everyone has gone for Man City beating Nottingham Forest. But it's always the case, a game where you think, oh, easy game for this team. It's like the Tottenham game last week. We all thought it would be an easy game against Sheffield because of the way Tottenham have been playing. But you saw how difficult it was for them to eventually get those 3 points. So it might be the same for one of these teams this weekend. It might either be Everton nicking a win against Brentford, or it could be Nottingham Forest, surprising Man City. They might be the team who, like remember Brentford last season when they went to Man City and got a win, and everyone thought, how did they do that? Because Man City were in good form then and were not really dropping points, but they lost to Brentford. So is Forest going to be that team? Is Awoniyi going to score against Man City? Because these are the kind of game that propels you into proper, cult heroes and all that in your club. So see how he performs in that game. Another game I see that might be tricky is the Chelsea v Aston Villa game. I feel Villa might have something to say at Stamford Bridge. But I don't know what Chelsea team will turn up and if they're able to, play well and get a win from that game. Because I'm thinking Chelsea should turn up and Chelsea should score goals in that game. Because if they can beat Villa and beat Villa well, it should give them confidence going into other games. I've gone for a high scoring game in the Chelsea Villa game because both of them play, attacking flair football. So we might see both teams open up and a lot of goals in the game. I've gone for a 4-2. I don't know. It might end up 2-1 or 2-0, but I think Chelsea might just nick it. You would imagine they would nick it. Well, Ramsdale thinks different anyway. She thinks that Villa would go to Stamford Bridge and nick a win. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes, Ramsdale. I know you've done it before, but let's see if it will happen again. Liverpool, West Ham. Another interesting game. Another interesting game because both teams have started really well this season. So we'll see how it goes if they can actually bring it to this game. Both of them obviously playing in Europa League. So we'll see if they're both tired from that game or how it affects them. And it's a good thing that they both are, not that one team is and the other isn't. So they'll both be feeling it the same way. Both played 90 minutes on a Thursday before a game on Sunday. So that will be interesting. Sheffield playing at home. Newcastle have had a, up and down season so far. 2 wins so far and 3 losses. I mean, 2 out of those 3, you wouldn't really have expected them to win because they were playing the champions and a good side in Liverpool, and a very good side in Brighton. So those 3 losses, I don't think they would have been able to do anything more than they did. So now is the time where they have to now start showing that they are here to stay. They are here to compete for that Champions League spot or even the league. So we'll see how they play against Sheffield. I feel Sheffield gave a good account of themselves in their last 2 games, really, drawing against Everton and then almost nicking a win against Tottenham, but ended up losing. But it will give them great confidence how they held on for that long. And going into this game, they might do that and make sure that they end up winners at home, give their fans something to cheer about, because it would be a big win if they can beat Newcastle at home. You know, be a big win, big statement, and they would probably get that if they win. Crystal Palace, Fulham, a London derby. I'm not expecting much from that game, to be fair, but I think Crystal Palace, who's at home, might just edge it for me. Because, like we talked about earlier, Fulham don't have any focal point player up front. And Crystal Palace are the opposite. They have Hudson-Odoi, although not really prolific, but he started off the season well. So he might just carry on from where, he stopped in the last game. So you never know. They might come out playing really, really well and getting the result that they need. So yeah, these are the games for the weekend, game week 6. You guys don't forget, you can leave your comments, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe to the Grand Football channel, and you can tell us your thoughts on the game. What games do you think will be the hardest ones this week? And what are your predictions for the star game of the week, Arsenal versus Tottenham? Don't forget, you can leave your comments and we would, look at them at the end of the game and give a shout out to those who got it right, So don't forget, we are always here every week, and we will be coming up shortly with our Champions League, breakdown of the week. It's just started, so we'll look at that game in our next video. Yeah. So, all right, guys, this is where we call it a day for now. Thank you if you have listened, joined in, watch this, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time. Take care, guys.
Don't check this.